Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full Time, where we take you around the world of soccer, locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. The Full Time podcast is presented and powered by 91 Network. You are listening to Season 6, Episode 5 of Full Time. I'm your host, Daniel Scarpino, and with me is our co host, Gitano Gallo. Before we begin today's show, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. The Full Time Podcast is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. With their 2 locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, you can download and access the Pizza Portal app so you can enjoy a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. The Full Time Podcast is also sponsored by Sioux Sports. To check out Sioux Sports and all of their articles, announcements, and streaming platforms, including True Host Media and True North Radio, visit siouxsports.com as well as Sioux Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. We remind our listeners that recordings of Full Time occur weekly or bi-weekly, and uploads to all of our platforms of public viewing and listening occur weekly or bi-weekly as well. Folks, we welcome you back to Full Time, where we get to have a discussion about the sport that connects us all. G, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good, Scarp's got my goal for the year in outdoor this season this week, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Speaking of footy, I'm banged up and sore from the week that was, but I am doing very well myself. Thank you. And congrats on the goal as well, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
In today's show, we will discuss the summer transfer market, the Club World Cup, and the MLS. As always, if anyone would like to listen to our previous content, please check us out at Full Time on all platforms of 91 Network. And without further ado, Gitano, and to everyone who has taken the time to tune in here today, let's kick off. We get today's show started with the summer transfer window. The following transfer market news comes from The Guardian, so be sure to check them out as they provide up-to-the-minute transfer market information in the world of football. First, it's Anthony Elanga, who goes from Nottingham Forest to Newcastle United for $55 million. Manager of Newcastle, Eddie Howe, is delighted with the arrival of their key target. The 23-year-old has been hailed as an exciting talent and a unique attacking threat. Gitano, what do you think about this signing?
You know what? At first, when I first heard his name, the price, and to Newcastle, I was a little shocked. I didn't think he was maybe worth that much in the market. But you look at his kind of, I'm not going to say they're advanced stats, but just kind of some basic stats. 17 goal involvements and 31 starts in the Prem last season, over 2,500 minutes played. It's actually kind of pretty decent, not going to lie.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty much, I would say, like a fair value transfer. Everyone kind of wins here. I think it's a really good move for Newcastle, kind of not just kind of resting on the laurels of, we have, Saudi ownership who's willing to spend money, and like they have a couple of good players. Alexander Isaac obviously is the key guy, but really like providing him support as well, especially in the attack. I think it's just a great move.
I think it's a good move now, but I also think it's a good move for the future because there's already whispers and discussions that Alexander Isak might be out the door sooner rather than later. Probably not this season, but almost certainly next. So I think it's some good planning from an attacking perspective moving forward to get pieces in now, just in case if Isak does eventually leave. So I also like this move for Newcastle, absolutely. Nani Madueke goes from Chelsea to Arsenal for a fee of $48.5 million. Mikel Arteta is pleased to secure the signature of what he believes is one of the most talented wide forward players in the Premier League. Madueke says that he will be unfazed by the new challenge as he signs on a 5-year deal. Gitano, there's a lot of mixed reviews on this one, but what is your take?
I mean, if you want to kind of use the direct comparison of Elanga, so he had 10 goal involvements in 27 starts, about 2,000 minutes, so slightly less production, slightly less minutes, so a slightly smaller fee. I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think it's the worst transfer ever. Do Arsenal still need to sign probably a couple more players? Yes, but I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of unnecessary hate, quite frankly, when this first got announced, which really was upsetting to see. You got to support a player when he comes to your club. So I'm okay with this, to be perfectly honest, but I came to the realization with the fee and with what was put on Arsenal's website, given that this is going to rise to somewhere in the ballpark of $52 million with the add-ons, and Madueke said in his presser that he plays from the left. So you're not going to get brought in for this amount of money to sit on the bench or go behind Saka from the right. So the way I see it, it's going to be Saka, hopefully Victor Gyökeres or a striker of some kind, and then Madueke from the left. So I'm perfectly okay with this. I think we need to give this player a chance. He's obviously got good quality. He's very reputable, and he can play from both sides of a front three. So I'm perfectly okay with this, and I hope that all the fans of Arsenal can get behind it as well, because the players do need the support. Alvaro Carreras goes from Benfica to Real Madrid for 43.4 million. Having played for Madrid's academy teams between 2017 and 2020, the 22-year-old left-back returns to the club on a 6-year contract. Gitano, break this one down for us.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, an academy product going back. And he's a decent player. He's fine. But just when we talked about last week, like Theo Hernandez going to Saudi Arabia for 25, 30 million, who's just undoubtedly the best left back in the world. If you maybe want to throw Nuno Mendes in there, we can argue that. But you know what I mean? He's like top player. To spend 15, almost 20 million more on someone who's just not anywhere near that level when a player like Theo Hernandez was available. Questionable business, but I mean, I think, just kind of in isolation, this move for Carreras is fine for Real Madrid. He'll be quality enough. He's never, I don't think, ever going to be like a world beater left back, but he'll be totally fine.
I think he will be fine as well. Like you said, with, other options available, dare we say, it makes it seem like they could have made a better or more high profile move. But in the end, I think for his age and what have you, the ceiling is relatively high, even as a left back. Next is Malik Tillman, who departs from PSV Eindhoven to Bayer Leverkusen for 30 million. The former Bayern Munich and Rangers man at age 23 joins Erik ten Hag's ranks after 2 impressive seasons in the Eredivisie. Gitano, what can you say about this one?
Yeah, this seems like a really under the radar good transfer. And especially going to a team like Bayer Leverkusen, where the ownership is willing to sell players eventually. Like, I don't think he's going there to kind of be a career guy at Leverkusen. This is definitely, and I mean this with all respect to Leverkusen, he's using them as a stepping stone for his career, absolutely. But I think this is a fantastic move for them. They need some fresh legs in that midfield, especially the rumors are they're losing Granit Xhaka potentially to Sunderland. Yep. I think just getting some fresh bodies in there, I think this is a really good move.
I think so too. And despite the fact that Erik ten Hag lost his first game today, I think by a score of 5-1 in preseason, I think getting the fresh bodies in there, I think it's very important for what's going to be ahead and what will be inevitably a long season. And Johnny Cardoso goes from Real Betis to Atletico Madrid for 26 million. Cardoso was a standout performer last season at Real Betis, who reached the Conference League final. The 23-year-old earns a high-profile move on a 5-year deal. Gitano, a good move for the player and the club, would you say?
I think so. He's got that perfect Atletico Madrid attitude that he's ready to kind of snap a guy in half if he has to, or just if he wants to. Works really hard off the ball. I think Diego Simeone is going to absolutely love him.
Yeah, right profile of player for the right club. I would agree with that. And Gitano, we did not cover each and every transfer that has occurred so far during the summer transfer window. Are there any that we missed that caught your eye as of recent?
So another Atletico Madrid move. They signed Thiago Almada, the Argentinian cam. This one really just caught my eye because he's a football manager, like Wonder Kid from back in the day. So to see him finally make the big step up into Europe, I'm really excited for it. I don't think he'll ever reach the heights of my Manchester City football manager save, but I think this is a fantastic move for him. We've seen Argentinian attackers do fantastically at Atletico Madrid historically. Obviously, it's not the same for every single player, but kind of seems to be a route that a lot of them take. I think he'll kill it out there.
Yeah, a very good shout indeed. And I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. Luka Modric to AC Milan on a 1-year deal. Absolutely love it. We were talking about it at soccer last night. And I said, I think that 1-year deal is going to extend to another 1-year deal and then to another 1-year deal.
Into another one. Yep.
3 good years left, including this one. So absolutely love that signing for Modric and Milan. And as the summer transfer window progresses, you can get all of your major updates throughout the summer right here on Full Time. Moving along, it is the Club World Cup that is all done and dusted, with the final between Chelsea and PSG having wrapped up this past Sunday. In a rather shocking turn of events, it was a scoreline and result that most wouldn't have predicted. 2 goals in the space of 8 minutes for Chelsea's Cole Palmer would see the Blues up 2-0 by the half-hour mark. And on the stroke of halftime, new signing Joao Pedro got himself another goal to put Chelsea up 3-0. From there was nothing left apart from PSG attempts, a Joao Neves red card, and a Chelsea blockade. Chelsea goes on to win the Club World Cup, defeating PSG by a score of 3-0. Gee, it wasn't the result that you, me, or most people would have expected or predicted, but Chelsea get it done in pretty admirable fashion, shall we say. What are your thoughts on the final, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it very much followed the kind of what I've been saying, at least about Chelsea this season, is like they've been kind of awful, or I guess last season, technically. That they
Yeah,
were just kind of awful, but every once in a while they just remembered that they're Chelsea Football Club and that they're all really good.
yeah,
Like fantastic players, like great coach, like, and that feels like that's what this game was. They just like went out on the field like, oh, like yeah, we're actually like we can do this. It's just PSG. Like it was crazy, like the switch that we've seen, from a performance like that to what we saw, for most of the Premier League season from them. Yeah, just really out of nowhere. It's why I don't like playing Chelsea anymore. I never hated it, but you never know what you're going to get. You're either going to crush them 6-0 or they're going to crush you 6-0. There's no kind of in between with them right now. And it's really frustrating. But yeah, this was just a fantastic performance from them. Really just nullified everything that PSG, has done all season long, in terms of specifically like their counterattack and their press. They just kind of played right through them. It was pretty impressive to watch.
yeah. It was incredibly impressive. I would say, particularly that first half, and both of Cole Palmer's goals were basically an exact replica, and then Joao Pedro showing his quality once again. Like you said, with Chelsea, you just don't know what you're going to get on a game-to-game basis. But if they can get things clicking and dialing in, they're going to be a pretty scary outfit in the Premier League. And it's interesting how you go from last season, like you said, technically where they're kind of meh, eh, and then you come to the Club World Cup, and then this final, all of a sudden the dialogue starts to change, and people are saying, between Manchester City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, could we throw Chelsea now in the equation for this upcoming season to win a Premier League if they continue to play like that? And it's hard to say no, because they did put on a very good performance and deservedly won the trophy. And of course, Gitano, that is a wrap on the Club World Cup. What would you give it, G, in terms of a score out of 10 for this tournament?
I would give it a solid 6.5. I think it was, fun enough that I enjoyed watching the games. But I also like that it wasn't like too serious. Like when Man City went out, there wasn't like I wasn't like heartbroken and crying on the couch, because I will do that when we go to cup competitions. Like the general discourse around teams going out wasn't too volatile. It very much was a friendly tournament, handled like a friendly tournament. It was fine.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just going to go slightly lower than you. I'm going to give it a pass. I'll go 5 or 5.5. I just think that there was some of the things surrounding the Club World Cup that probably could have been better, like the attendance for one, the timing of the games probably as well could have been a little bit better. So I don't really necessarily think that the football was so much the problem. I actually enjoyed a lot of the games that I did get to watch, but there were just things surrounding the tournament that I thought could have been run better. But first time that this has kind of been run in this format, if you will. So I'm sure that if and when the next time it does come round, which it will, it'll be a little bit better. So I'll give it a 5 or a 5.5. But nevertheless, G, been fun covering this one with you, my friend.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully the first of, well, I wouldn't be upset if this wasn't the first of many, but hopefully
Yeah,
the first of many.
right. You said it right. The MLS continues to tick along as teams have just over 10 games left to play for the season. As things stand in the East, it's Philadelphia who hold top spot with 46 points. Just below them is Cincinnati with 45 points. And third is Nashville with 44 points. Columbus, Inter Miami, Orlando City, New York City, the New York Red Bulls, and Charlotte round out the top 9, all who get a shot in the playoff picture. Gitano, what are your thoughts on the East right now?
My first thought is always it's weird not seeing Inter Miami top of the league. They also played in the Club World Cup and have, depending on what opponents you're looking at, 2 or 3 games in hand. And if they win, those could easily be right back up, kind of in that top 2 or 3. So I'm sure they'll get those points. Especially, do you see that there's rumor that they're signing Rodrigo DePaul?
I did see that. Yes.
And somehow he's not a designated player. They're somehow managing to loophole him. And anyways, I digress. Yeah, first thought is always weird not seeing Inter Miami up there. Second of all, there's a lot of kind of your typical like top MLS teams not really doing great right now. Specifically, Atlanta United, New York Red Bulls, and New York City. Atlanta are actually out of the playoffs right now, and New York City and New York Red Bulls are both barely hanging on to a playoff spot. So a lot of change in the East this year for sure.
Yeah, definitely a lot of change, but welcome change, I'd say, and it just kind of encapsulates the parity that could and should be in the league. So I don't mind seeing what I'm seeing right now in the East. And our Toronto FC sits in 12th place with 21 points, coming off a good midweek win against San Diego. I actually stayed up for that one on
Oh,
Wednesday.
good for you.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, being on holiday makes things a little bit easier. If it was during the school year, I definitely wouldn't have. But I stayed up, watched it. Corbano got the penalty. I thought that was well deserved, and TFC actually played a really good game. So I was really impressed with that, and I didn't mind staying up for it. But Gitano, irrespective of that, how have you made out TFC to be in recent weeks?
Yeah, I think the departure of Insigne and Bernardeschi kind of, I don't want to say it freed the club up. I mean, it quite literally did in terms of wages. Went from the highest wage bill in the league to the second lowest with their two departures, which speaks volumes. But I also think there's, in a weird way, there's like less pressure now. The team doesn't have to rely on the two of them to produce things. Like it's now a much more team oriented team. That's a really poor way of saying it, but I think you know what I mean.
Yep.
It's definitely, I think it's kind of reset and shifted the focus for the group and also for the management and the coaches as well. And I've seen, again, it's not going to be perfect. We've talked about this even before the season started. Like it's still a very young team, still kind of putting the foundations for the future success together. But I think you're kind of seeing, especially with the departure of the Italians, just kind of a couple more of those foundational pieces being laid down without kind of the, when they're fit, they'll be in the lineup kind of questions circling around the squad. So I think it's been good. It's obviously not great sitting outside the playoff spots right now, not the best form in the world, above Montreal, which is always fantastic. But yeah, I think it's been fine from TFC. Pretty much exactly what I kind of would have expected from them this season so far.
Right. And I don't want to make the direct comparison because it can never be a direct comparison, but we talked about PSG so much in the past couple of months here on Full Time and how, they became a team after their, superstars had left. And again, I don't want to make the direct comparison because you can't, but now you almost wonder if TFC is going to mold a little bit different, and become more of a team now that Insigne and Bernardeschi are gone. I don't know if you saw or not, but Bernardeschi, very heartfelt, emotional farewell on TFC's social media, and Insigne crickets.
Yep. And here's the thing: I said it before. Like Bernardeschi tried. He came to Toronto. He gave us 110%. Just didn't mesh. He just didn't fit with. We didn't fit with what he wanted. Really, he didn't really fit what we needed. He gave it 100% effort. He bought into the city's culture, which I always love. Like
Yep.
you saw like Jermaine Defoe famously didn't buy into anything Canada at all. But, you saw Bernardeschi, like he was, at Leafs games, he was at Raptors games, he was at Jays games, he was trying to be involved. So I do kind of feel bad that he left. I do wish him all the best. I think he's off to Bologna, if I'm correct.
Oh yes.
Um, so yeah, that's like it's a bummer to see a guy who kind of loved it here go. Um, so yeah, I appreciated the heartfelt goodbye, and if he ever comes back to TFC or ever comes back to Toronto, and they show him on the camera, he'll get a warm round of applause. And Insigne definitely will not. He'll get chased out of BMO Stadium with baseball bats.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I think he's just destined to be in Italy and live in Italy and everything else. But Bernardeschi did say at the end, said it's not bye, see you later. I still got friends here and people that I love here, so I'll definitely be back. You can guarantee that. So that was nice to see, despite the fact that Toronto is still outside of a playoff spot. We'll take that as a positive. And out in the West, the aforementioned San Diego, who Toronto beat midweek, they are still holding on to first place in the West with 42 points. In second is Vancouver with 41 points. In third is Minnesota with 40 points. LAFC, Seattle, Portland, Colorado, Austin, and San Jose make up the top 9. Gee, what can you say for the West?
Yeah, the West is also full of kind of unexpected change. Teams you didn't mention, who again are kind of typical playoff MLS teams like Real Salt Lake, Houston Dynamo, Sporting KC, and bottom of the table LA Galaxy. I cannot believe I am saying that still. After the first couple game weeks, like it's only been a couple games. If you don't get that first win relatively soon, you end up down there. But to see them only with 3 wins in their 23 games, absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's one of the more shocking things that I've seen down the years in the MLS. And, with 10 or so games left to go in the season, I mean, they're not going to win all 10. At least you wouldn't think so. So you're thinking now all of a sudden they're going to end up with single digit victories. And to think of that from an LAFC perspective is almost unfathomable, isn't it?
Like, it's just insane. They are, and again, like they didn't have massive like roster issues either. That's the thing that kind of blows my mind. It's not like they had a bunch of guys leave and like everything's kind of gone terribly. Like they still have, if I can pull it up here, give me 1 second. Like their roster is still one of on paper the best in MLS. First of all, Greg Vanney is the coach, one of the best in the league, probably one of the best on the continent. Like, and I know they've had a couple injuries, like Ricky Puig's ACL's done. He's basically done for the season. But like, just you look at this roster, and it is just full of kind of MLS. I don't want to say like I'm trying. They're the top end like MLS players. They're not quite world beaters, but they're top high end MLS players. It's just insane that they have with a couple of injuries just completely fallen off a cliff here.
Football, where anything can happen. We say it all the time on full time, and yet still we sit here sometimes and we're shocked, even though we shouldn't be. But yeah, staggering to see them at the bottom of the table. And we have to keep a close eye on that because that'll be one of the major talking points, I'd imagine, come the end of the season if they stay in the basement. And as the MLS season rolls on, you can get all of your Major League Soccer updates, news, and information right here on Full Time. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you are listening to the Full Time Podcast on 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza and Sioux Sports. Check out the Pizza Portal app for a quicker, easier way to get your next hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars. And be sure to check out Sioux Sports at siouxsports.com and Sioux Sports TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Full Time. As we bring today's show to a close, we want to extend our thanks to all of you for tuning in. Your support is much appreciated. Gee, good work tonight, sir.
Excellent work as well, Scarps. Always fantastic to record with you. It's a little bit of an odd recording time for us normally, but it's kind of a nice way to round out the week.
I agree with that, man. A great way to round out the week, and for me, it wouldn't have it any other way, so thank you very much. A reminder to our listeners that the next episode of Full Time will be recorded the week of July 28th, 2025. So Gitano and I were going into our 2-week off season, if you like. And that show, of course, is going to be exclusively a look at the summer transfer market, and that'll be just about it. But as always, we will keep everyone in the loop with all the happenings in the world of football. For weekly content, make sure to hit like, follow, and subscribe to all platforms of 91 Network on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Podbean, and Spaces at suittoday.com. For Gitano Gallo, my name is Daniel Scarpino, and thank you for tuning in to Full Time. We look forward to seeing you at kickoff next time back here on the Full Time Podcast and 91 Network. Best always.